All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's our first example. We are being asked to find the area and perimeter of this regular polygon. This particular example shows when we know the apothem. So any problem where you are given the apothem, this is the example that you would want to look to. Now, I pulled this example from the completed notes that I've posted on Google Classroom so that you could look back on it later if you need to. Here's how this works. We know two things to start the problem. One, we know that the apothem is 3 miles. This is the apothem here. It's the distance from the center to the midpoint of a side. And we also know that this is a hexagon. It has 6 sides, so we know n. n is equal to 6. At the beginning of every one of these problems, you will know n, and you will know one of those 3 measurements, either a, s, or r. In this case, we know a. So step 1, every single time, that is after we figure out what n is and which one we know, a, r, or s. Our first step then is to find theta. We do that using our theta equation, which is 180 times n minus 2 divided by n. So for this example, that would be 180 times 6 minus 2 divided by 6. And we would feed that to our calculator. So we go in here and we do 180 times 6 minus 2 divided by 6. And that tells us that theta is 120 degrees. Now in reality, what we really need is actually the angle theta divided by 2, which in this case would be 60 degrees. This is the value we're going to need to plug into our equations. Because again, all of our equations, all 3 of the ones we're going to be using, contain theta over 2, not theta. So it's worth noting that the first thing we need to do with theta is divide it by 2. Now, since we know the apothem, and our area equation is 1/2 NAS from our previous video, yes? That means we know n, and we know a, so we need to find s. Without s, we can't do the problem. So to find s, since we know a, we're going to use the tangent equation, because that's the one that relates a to s. So our second step is we are going to find s using that equation. 2a equals s times the tangent of theta over 2. So in this case, that would be 2 times 3 equals s times the tangent of 60 degrees. That means that 6 is equal to s times the tangent of 60 degrees, or s is 6 divided by the tangent of 60 degrees. Now our problem is asking us to round our answers to the nearest hundredth. So for calculation purposes, we are going to keep the nearest thousandth. That's 3 decimal places in this case. Our next digit is a 1, so we would round that 4 down and keep a 4. So there's our s value. So now we go to perimeter and area, because we know n, we know a, and we know s. Those are the 3 things we need to know to find perimeter and area. So next up, I would have you do the perimeter next. Remember, that is number of sides times side length, or 6 times 3.464. We feed that to our calculator and round it to the nearest hundredth. That would be 20.78. Don't forget your units in this problem, that is miles. So the perimeter of that hexagon is 20.78 miles. Then we need to find the area. Area is 1/2 NAS. So the area would be 1/2 times 6 times 3 times 3.464. We would feed that to our calculator, and again we're going to round that to the nearest hundredth. So 1/2 times 6 times 3 times 3.464 would be 31.18 square miles, because it is area. Perimeter is always in units, area is always in units squared. this is how we do the entire problem. That's one example of how to find the area and perimeter of a regular polygon when we are given the apothem. There'll be 2 more videos in this lesson, one for given a radius and one for given a side length. Thank you for your time.